My name is Donald Fisher. I'm the interim principal here. Glad to welcome all of you here. It's our last event of the year. Apart from the resident members series, which I'll mention more about in a moment, it is our last event where there's a reception and all the usual things that we do. So it's always a sort of bittersweet time because these lovely evenings sort of are going to stop for a while. But, of course, they'll be starting again in September. And for those of you that don't come regularly, do know that all our events are open to the public and they're free. They're often followed by a reception where there's an opportunity to talk with the speaker, the artist, the presenter, whatever it may be. And we really welcome you with open arms. So we hope you'll keep coming back to see us. On the back of the sheet that I hope all of you have got, if you haven't, do pick one up. There's a information sheet for this evening. They're on the seats around the area. On the back of it is the schedule for Early Music Vancouver at Green College next year. We wanted to alert you to those dates now, and hopefully you will mark them in your calendar and come and join us for these events next year. So let me just mention the Resident Members Series happens on Monday nights. There are 5 more to come. We have 96 residents here at Green College. They're graduate students, masters, doctoral, etc., JD, a few postdoc students, and some visiting faculty. And those folk, the residents specifically, when they come to the college, they agree to give a presentation about their work. And given that we are as interdisciplinary as any unit anywhere could be, the range of those talks is amazing. And they are open to the public. And so do check our public events page on the website. And if you would like to join us, we will welcome you again with open arms. The first one after this is on April the 29th, and it goes through all the way to May 27. I'm delighted that Susie LeBlanc is here, and she's going to take over, the Executive Director of Early Music Vancouver.
Thank you. Thank you, and I'm only taking over for a second because it's really going to be Srivani who's taking over. So I'm Susie LeBlanc, I'm the Artistic and Executive Director of Early Music Vancouver. I'd like to just begin by acknowledging the sacred land on which we're gathered. This land has many, many things to offer, one of which is that every plant that grows on it is medicine to the Musqueam people. And in a sort of similar, perhaps parallel way, we can say, and we can be grateful also to Green College for providing nourishment for our souls with these events. I would just also like to say just a few words about Early Music Vancouver. We're in our 55th year of existence. We offer something like 40 events per year, and we've just launched our summer and season events. So it's all on our website, earlymusic.bc.ca. And it is with great pleasure for us to take part in the series at Green College, something that has happened since 1993. So many, many years of wonderful collaborations. We sometimes have had summer workshops here as well as these conferences, lectures. Early music is a sort of a funny thing. What is it exactly? It's music from the past, of course. Every early music musician is a little bit by nature a researcher because the repertoire and sometimes even the instruments have been lost or left untouched for so many years that we forgot that they existed. And today's presentation, even though I think Srivani's instrument still survives in tradition and has continued to survive and perhaps has some changes, but a lot of the repertoire, I believe, is going to be new to many of us, and that's the whole idea of the research that these musicians are doing in many different cultures. So thank you so much for joining today, and I will leave you in the wonderful company and the very capable hands of Srivani Jade.
Namaste and good evening, friends. When an Indian musician settles down to talk, sing, play Indian music, you will see us touch the ground, touch the earth on which we shall be seated, and in that process ask for all of your blessings and permission to make music together. The title of my presentation is A Modest 250 Years of Hindustani Music, also known as North Indian classical or art or traditional music. When I started to put together these slides, which I don't normally do, because most of our life in music is like the music itself, rather improvised. But I made an effort, and as I like to say, it's hard for an Indian musician to make a program and harder still to follow it. So there will be some departures undoubtedly. It is said, if you trace back Indian music in all its forms today to the very beginning, it goes back to the Anahat Nad. Anahat, An-ahat, the unstruck sound of the universe. Where then does that sound come from? We believe it is the sound of creation. Sometimes it's referred to as the sound of Shiva, the sound of the cosmos. And I say this not to invoke mythology or invoke a belief, but to make a point about the musicality that comes from there that we can explore together here. So join your voices and sing with me. Tell me, did this land you in a slightly different place from just a few minutes ago? So this is the physical embodiment of what we think in a perfectly silent world, devoid of all physical sounds of activity, we believe is the sound that envelops the universe. Be that as it may, what it does give us, and I think it's a sort of typical endowment of Indian music, is to invest a lot of energy into intonation. Did you hear that small change? So an Indian musician typically thinks of the octave as not made up of 12 notes or even 20 shrutis or intonations or 30, but as a continuum of intonations from this fundamental tonic to the octave above. So it's a continuous palette of sound, and that creates that typical sound that we call Indian music across genre. Now fast forward many millennia, and we have the Vedic chants. I was curious about it because I was always told as a child that all music we sing has its origin sound-wise in the chanting of the Samaveda. I listened to it on YouTube, a very kosher version from people who make a career chanting the Vedas, and to me, it sounded nothing like the music I do. So I sat down and pondered what might be the connection that I can explore to that era of sound in my own music today. And one thing that's very clear on a daily basis is this: commitment to shruti. The Sanskrit definition of this is shruyantam iti shruti, that which can be discerned orally, that intonation, that is hence shruti. So many years later, we come to a genre called Dhrupad, which is still sung and performed today, and is probably the first thing any musician that studies my genre of North Indian classical music will study. Dhrupad, the word, refers to a style of composition, a structure of composition, and the whole genre that today we know as Dhrupad music coming from North India. The reference in ancient texts can sometimes be misleading because it's a reference to the label Dhrupad, made of two words, Dhruva, immovable, pada, composition or text. So in it, we at least find the roots of the fact that we had a very composition-based music. And it was of primary importance to sing the structured piece, making no errors, no matter how many people sang it together without a conductor. Think about it. When you offer something in a temple to God or to a loved one, you want it to be so perfect that singing in unison should be beautifully in time without a conductor. And hence, the need for a system of rhythm or tala that is overtly kept with various hand signals, with or without a drum, miraculously people coming together, the style evolving such that a syllable or a motion always falls on the beat. The composition is precisely on the beat or sometimes precisely off the beat. So I'm going to demonstrate such a Dhrupad in the afternoon rag, Brindavani Sarang. A Dhrupad composition has 4 parts. Sthai, you'll see it sets up the theme, lower tetrachord for musicians here. Antara, that leads up to the octave and explores the upper octave. A third part, Sanchari, which ties it all together now that we've explored the whole space of the raga. And a fourth part, Abhog, that is like a conclusion paragraph, if you will. And there'll be a gap. I'll make sure to leave a small gap, a full cycle of a beat of 10, a cycle of 10 beats, so you know these 4 parts coming one after another. A short alap, improvised open movement, laying out the raga, and then the composition. tit dha, kit kak gadi gana dha dha dhin ta, kit dha, tit kak gadi gan. So that is the barrel drum, the pakhavaj, playing on my machine. Tum sahib, tum sahib, tum hi kartar, tum hi kartar, ghat ghat घट पुराना जल थल भर भार, जल थल भर भार, तुम साहेब, रब साहेब, रब तुम साहेब, था था तुम ही रहीम, तुम ही रहीम, तुम ही करीम, तुम ही करीम, गावत गुणी गंधर्व, गावत गुणी गंधर्व, सुर नर सुर तार, सुर नर सुर तार, तुम रव तुम साहिब, ता धिन ता धिट धा, तुम ही पुराण ब्रह्म, तुम ही पुराण ब्रह्म, तुम ही अचल, तुम ही अचल, तुम ही जगत गुरु, तुम ही जगत गुरु, तुम ही सरदार, तुम ही सरदार, तुम रव तुम साहिब, इत धा, कहे मियां तानसेन, कहे So this Dhrupad is credited to, and it's important to say credited to because not a whole lot is written down, because Indian music is an oral tradition. Credited to Mian Tansen, one of the court musicians, and Dhrupadiya, he who practices Dhrupad as a musician. What is very well known is that Tansen, despite being invited to be one of the 9 jewels of the Mughal Emperor Akbar's court, said, "I'm 60 years old, ready to retire to the forest. I have no need to serve another master." But the king he served had enormous respect for him and said, "Don't turn this offer down. You will be known all through the land as a musician par excellence. Go and spread the word of Hindustani music. That kind of royal patronage and support is going to take the music to another level." And so it did. In the Ragamala style painting that you see on the screen, the character in the middle, sitting with the tanpura, is Tansen. The mendicant sitting in front of him, in very simple to nothing clothes, sitting in the forest, is his guru, Swami Haridas. The story goes that one day Tansen had the Emperor Akbar in his thrall with his Dhrupad singing, and the Emperor said, "What a privilege to have you in my life, in my court. Can there be music sweeter than this?" And Tansen says, "Oh yes, there is. My guru." So history credits the current form of Dhrupad to Swami Haridas and others in that era. But he said, "My guru, his music is magical." Why? Because he sings for himself. I sing for you. And he's a recluse, not to be discovered by man, so to speak. And Akbar, of course, emperor of the land, says, "I must have what I cannot have, and you must take me." Oh, what difference does it make if we hide in the bushes and we just hear him practice? Go approach him. And so that is the representation in that painting. And of course, Haridas senses a disturbance in the environment and stops singing and keeps his word of never singing for the pleasure of another human being, and to sing for the joy of singing with the shruti and for nature alone. So a little story there, which we all like and repeat and believe to be true. But I thought it would be nice to bring up Swami Haridas, because he and others seem to have given Dhrupad its structure, which is somewhat followed to this day. The 4-part, or at least 4-part composition, sung in this manner, with these particular improvisations, meaned this glide, this oscillation called gamak. A total of 10 ornamentations listed in the treatise on Indian music, but these two form the way we walk in the music. Or think about it another way. When you hear music coming from afar and you say, that sounds like Indian music, what is it that gives it its style? Usually these two things. These form the basic ways in which we walk in the music. For lack of a better word, we call them ornamentations, which can sometimes be a little misleading because it seems like something you add on later. An ornament, but it is really the way we walk and talk in the music. Going from one place Now, I thought about this and I picked this particular composition because I would like to demonstrate to you how the same composition comes into a style that evolves, for some time co-evolves with Dhrupad, then formalizes out of Dhrupad, sometimes as a reaction to what Dhrupad has become, and opens a door, opens a window perhaps, to another style very rooted in Dhrupad at the time, called Khayal. Khayal, an Urdu word with origins in Persian and Arabic, meaning imagination or ideation or reflection or thought, depending on the context. That should give you an idea that it vests a little more importance upon the individual's thought process. You have to understand that at this time, as Khayal began to gather followers and force in Indian music, momentum, we had a lot of socio-political cultural influences in northern India. I digress a little bit, but if you remember the map of India, there is a triangular section, the peninsular India, the mountain range, Vindhyas, and a big amorphous mushroom top with borders with present-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, Tibet, Bangladesh, Myanmar. And we've had a lot of musical influence, cultural influence coming from the northwest, from the Turks who were positioned in Afghanistan at the time, made their way, the sacking of Delhi. I'm not an historian, but you can look it up. And the Sufis came to India. And the funny story goes that the Sufi realized that they can't keep the Indians' attention without music. So Sufi music, Qawwali, Qawwal Bachon Ka Gharana, various schools of musical thought came into being and regional styles developed with a number of these influences, and Khayal ends up being a syncretic style that is, yes, Indian, but yes, a lot of other things as well that are now Indian towards middle to late 18th century. So I would like to sing the same Dhrupad coming in as a sadra into a similar but not the same 10-beat tal cycle, but the drum is now different. In Khayal, no longer do we have the open barrel drum that is played this way, but is a tabla, the two drums, the bass and treble drums, with the edge of the palm resting on the edge of the drum. So less of the open sound of the pakhavaj and more of a controlled, nuanced sound played by the finger on goat skin, which is what you would see if you were to see me or another Khayal musician in performance. To my right side would be the tabla player. And the software does a fairly good approximation of how that tabla might sound. So let me play that for you. Changes in the composition. Different kinds of ornamentation and embellishments you will hear. A little more free-flowing structure on top of the tal you will hear. And more of my own personal style coming to bear upon the composition, as well as open avenues for improvisation. You will see a simplification of the composition structure from the 4-part to 2 parts. Sthai is Sthai, the first part, which is our theme. And the second part tries to address everything that the 3 parts in Dhrupad was trying to achieve. Keep the composition simple so that you have lots of room for improvisation. That seems to be the formula of Khayal. And its reason for popularity at a time in India where people were casting off the intermediary in religion, in social life, in music. Personal creativity and expression through music, through bhakti, through devotion, all of these were gathering momentum. And imagine yourself in that era when it must have been fairly revolutionary almost to be singing Khayal. In fact, I'm told there were not many male students that Niyamat Khan had because there were no jobs to be had in Khayal. Khayal was not taken seriously as classical music in the time, and yet today, when people say North Indian classical music, they're probably referring to Khayal. It's probably most of the market and the performance space as we know it. Here comes Khayal. Dhi na, dhi, dhi na, ti na, dhi, dhi na. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we went from a 4-2-4 division to a 5+5 division. And the same composition. साहेब तुम रब तुम साहेब तुम रब तुम साहेब तुम ही करतार तुम ही साहेब साहेब घट घट पुराण जल थल भर भार तुम रब तुम साहेब तुम रब तुम. The singing of the solfege comes in. Why not? So the founder of my gharana or musical school of thought at some point started experimenting with singing the solfa. Ne za re ma re ma pa ma pa ni pa ma re ma pa ma re ni sa tum rab tum saheb tum rab. Tum saheb सकल जग को भव पार जग को भव पार तुम साहेब रब तुम साहेब रब 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 तुम रब साहेब करतार तुम रब रब तुम साहेब तुम रब तुम रब So hopefully this was a bulk of the 250 years of starting with a single point, the sound of the universe, through Dhrupad, through Khayal. I would be remiss if I didn't mention another huge, very significant influence on Hindustani music. Over time, several hundred years, and in present times as well, the influence of folk music, of which there is an amazing regional diversity. It was said that the music changes in variety faster than the taste of the water as you travel through northern India. Language changes, cuisine changes. The folk songs that celebrate birth, commemorate death, celebrate weddings, coming of age. It's either a lot or less. All of these were folk ballads, ditties, songs, tunes, celebration of Holi, the festival of color, for example, seasonal music, all come into the Hindustani music repertoire. And it's for another talk, another day, about how folk music and the music made by women singers of the time came under various stresses and strains, partly due to colonialism, Victorian morals being imposed on Indian music and subjects and themes and the manner in which music was practiced in different contexts, and how All India Radio came to be a sort of savior to present and record some of this music as royal patronage had died off. So the democratization of Indian music is the subject of another few hours, another lecture demonstration, another day. I hope you'll have me back. But I do want to sing something seasonal because spring has sprung and we have a few minutes on our hand. This is called a Chaiti, celebrating early spring. And just as a glimpse into the style of what that might sound like, different from Dhrupad and Khayal, and certainly an element in all my concerts as well, and I'm glad to say many of my colleagues sing these songs as part of their performances on stage. There's a 14-beat folk tal called Deepchandi. Dha dhin, dha dha tin, dha tin, dha dha dhin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. There, already you have a different lilt to the whole song. Ha, ha. चेतर चुंदरी रंगा दे हाँ चेतर चुंदरी रंगा दे पियरवा चेतर मासे. A young lady asking her beloved, "Can you get me a scarf with all the colors of the spring that I see around me?" Chetara chundari ranga de piyarva Chetara chundari ranga de piyarva Chetara maase Chetara chundari ranga de Chetara chundari ranga de haan Chetara chundari ranga de piyarva Chetara maase Chetara chundari ranga de. लाल रंग साड़ियाँ पीले रंग चोलियाँ लाल रंग साड़ियाँ पीले रंग चोलियाँ अपने ही रंग में रंगई बेहुरामा अपने ही रंग में रंगई बेहुरामा चेतर मासे चेतर चुंदरी रंगा दे पियरवा चेतर मासे चेतर चुंदरी रंगा दे चुनरी रंगा दे चुनरी रंगा दे चुंदरी रंगा दे पियरवा चेतर चुंदरी रंगा दे पियरवा चेतर मासे हो चेतर चुंदरी Thank you.